stream. Alright. Sorry, I was doing some testing there for just a second. We are live. It is Tuesday. It is a very bad allergy day for me. So I do apologize for the coughing. I was doing okay, and then I sneezed, and then everything went sideways, as it does. As it does. Alright, so we are back to working on this project. We are using a reference photo we got off Unsplash of a sailboat in a little harbor at sunset. We did an oil painting of this, but I really wanted to do a needle felt of it as well, so here we are. And this is 5 by 5. Our finished area will be approximately 5 by 5. And when we are done, we're gonna mount it on a wood backing, excuse me, and create a little hanger for it. Alrighty. We have our finger protectors on. Our little cup of water to try to help us shape our fluff where we need it. And I'm going to turn this guy sideways. And I'm just bringing up my reference photo to the side here. Actually, I'm gonna put him back into there. So this is the top of my mountain range. All right. So we've got a little bit of our lighter dark purple. And I'm just gonna start to position that. So I know where he's gonna sit. Okay, so here's, like, I don't want my mountains to go any taller than that, hopefully. I mean, they might go a teeny bit taller, but if we can help it, I'd prefer not to. And my colors aren't going to be exactly the same. Like, this cloud in the reference photo is like a shade of blue that I just don't have. Somehow I don't have that shade of blue. We will need to rectify that at some point. Eventually. Now, as you can, if you've done a fair bit of needle felting before, you'd be able to tell that what I am using isn't the traditional wool roving. Have a little bit of it. Just didn't really think I was going to have enough for this specifically. I didn't pull it out for this because if I run out of a color, then I'm out of that color, which is fine because I do need to use it, but at the same time, I don't want to run out in the middle of working on a specific color. This piece is a little bit bigger than the magnets we were working on. Okay, I was worried you weren't going to be able to see the shade difference between these two because they're very close in the bag, but outside of the bag you can definitely see the difference there. So we're kind of following along with the picture, trying to recreate it to a degree, but we're also using it as some inspiration where it's not going to be exactly the same. It'll be close-ish. Close-ish. But not quite the same. You don't have to do the brushing down on the back. It's just something that I like to do because I find it helps it sit a little bit flatter sometimes. Again, not required. It's just something I've done over the years that I started doing that I found. That's just some water. It'll dry. It's fine. That seems to help a little bit. Kind of trial and error. Alright, so I need to bring the dark purple down into there. So the purples are gonna overlap a bit. And that's okay, that's kind of what I want them to do. Okay. And just kind of want to flip the pad around at times just so we're not stabbing into the same place constantly. So I'm going to be able to fill these fluff bags soon. I don't know if I'll have time to do it this weekend, but hopefully next weekend I will. So I'm gonna have some more of the dark purple come in down into there. I had to pause on the darker purple, because it looked like this darker shade was sitting on top of the lighter shade in spots. So I was like, well, let's pause on that one, at least temporarily. So we can work on getting this shade popped in. At least a little bit. I'm working in smaller bits here, just to make it a little bit easier to keep myself from overdoing it. Alright, so I just wanted that to come a little bit more on top of these other colors here. Okay. And we'll go back to following some of Bob's stuff eventually. But I just wanted to take a break and work on one of our own. Just to show that we do more than just following along with Bob. Okay. So I'm just kind of shaping my bit of fluff here. So I've got a little bit of a thinner spot right in there that I want to fill in. Sorry, that piece look. Oh, hold on one second. All right. Sorry about that. Alright, so we'll get this bit worked into here. Alright, so this kind of goes all the way up, kind of following our edge here. I think this section I just didn't get around to putting the darker purple in, although now that I'm looking at this thing, I don't know why I separated and have this gap in here. Oh, I think it's okay. Alright, I think I see what I did. Maybe. I might be seeing what I did. I don't know. It's there now. I guess my brain was like, I know I want it to be this way, or it was seeing something differently that day. And now that we've come back to working on it, I'm kind of left like, huh? What was I thinking? I don't know. What was I thinking? It's a mystery. It's a grand mystery. I'm gonna have to add a little bit more to the base of that. Again, not gonna be the same exact depiction of our reference photo. But, you know, we'll see what we can do. Alright, so we're going to bring the dark purple into there. Dark purple's going to sit here. Just the tiniest drop of water. Like, I'm just touching the surface of that, and then I'm kind of like flicking the extra back into the cup. Because we don't need a whole lot of that. We really don't. Okay. We'll get that popped into that spot, right? Not quite. in the position that I wanted that to be. But you know what? We're gonna have some more of our dark purple coming in. Okay. Just gonna take a little bit of our light purple and just kind of wispy drop it in up here. Can't really see it because it was so wispy, but we just kind of want just like the barest kiss of color in there. Okay. So can't really see it. It kind of just looks like maybe a little bit of shadow up there, and that's fine. We didn't really, well, I didn't really want it to be too crazy. Just a little tiny bit of wispy cloud up here. A little bit. So I hope everybody's Tuesday is going all right. Not quite sure how our Tuesday is going yet. It's gonna be a I'll have to get back to you situation. Alright, so we do have a little bit of like a light purple sitting on top of this section. Kind of like in here. Just a little bit. Kind of like a weird like alligator mouth, but see if this is even visible once I get this lead in here. We will see. It's a little visible. I might need to add a little bit more on top of that. Again, you don't want this saturated when you're trying to shape it, just a little kiss of color, or color, just a little kiss of water. Like barely there, just enough. You don't need much. We're not wet felting here. That is a different animal altogether. Entirely. And I'm not sure if you can wet felt with acrylic yarn. I would be surprised if you can. Just because it doesn't really like to stick to itself. I think for that you're probably going to need to use the wool roving. But again, don't quote me on that because I have not done any wet felting whatsoever. Okay, now good. And that kind of coming down there. Okay. So I'm a little off with where things are being placed, but you know what? That's all right. Because we're just kind of using it for inspiration. Can be a little different. It's fine. Doesn't have to be exact to the reference. I'm trying to make it close to the reference, but if it's not, it's not. And that's okay. Alright, now I think I want to add a little bit more of this. Kind of over here. Just a little bit. Okay. Doesn't have to be shaped super perfect in here. It's just kind of like lines of color at this point. I don't want to get too carried away though, because I want to get some yellow in here. Yeah, I need to get some yellow in here. And then possibly a little bit more of this. And I still need to figure out what I'm going to do for our actual sun color. That might be white in the very middle of it there. Over in here. But I think I might have to figure out that mountain first. Have to see there. Not sure what color I want to do these mountains. I did have two different purples out, but now that I'm looking at it, maybe we go with like dark aubergine and then maybe dark denim. Because it's almost black, but not quite. It's almost like a Black Beauty eggplant shade on that most front one. It's like a black purple. Okay, I'm gonna go just a little bit more on this guy. So maybe I pop you into here. Okay, that's not bad. Alright, I'm gonna rotate my mat again. Did I want... That one's kind of sitting on top. Okay, I'm gonna go back to our other cloud purple here for just a minute. Well, more than a minute, but so that color that we were just using was pale lilac from Paint Box Simply Chunky. And now we are back to the dusty lilac from the same company. Not sponsored, just letting you know whose shade it is. It's almost like a silky, soft bit of fluff here. Alright. So, gonna get this bit of dark purple. Worked into here. Filling in that gap of the base gray that we still had in there. Okay. Remember to pull up your project every so often. Frequently. If you're working on a fabric mat instead of like a foam mat or something. Because these mats, it's real easy to become too attached to them if you're not picking up. You don't want to get attached to your mat. You can get it off eventually, but you've got to be real careful that you don't stretch out and warp your piece or mess up your mat at the same time. So that's bit of a tough one. Alright, I still need this guy this way. Tape around the edges is very, very optional. I do that so I can keep track of where my pen lines are for my outer area, so I can try to stay close to the size that I was looking for without losing too much on the edges. I need a little bit more of this darker purple right into here because I want it sitting on top of that. I know we're covering up some of our pink, but if I'm trying to follow the photo, which I am trying to, it's just I've also accepted the fact that it's me. And my brain processes things a bit differently, so also I'm accepting the fact that it's not gonna look quite the same. Where's that? I am trying to get it in there to where I want it to be. Sometimes that's a little bit easier said than done. Okay. Check the whole desk. Okay. Had to change how I was sitting. Okay, so let me see here. All right. So I've got a little bit. Might need to be a tiny bit thicker. Okay, so this one's kind of sitting in here. laying over top of the lighter cloud there, and over top of our pink a bit. Okay. So we've got a little bit more purpley chunks kind of sitting on top here and there of our lighter purple. Just kind of wherever you feel like you want them to be. Again, I am kind of using this for inspiration. But I'm also kind of trying to follow it. Let's see. I'm gonna turn this guy this way. Again, water's optional. Completely optional. Just depends on how much you want to really shape it. I am trying to overlap that a bit into that blue upper edge there, just so I don't have any weird like gaps happening. Now, I always, when I put these live streams and I archive them up on the YouTube channel, I put a material list up when we're doing art stuff. And yeah, I am saying the names of the colors and the brands of yarn that I'm using. That doesn't mean you have to use that. And every brand of yarn is gonna, there's potential that every brand of yarn has a different version of that shade name, where one brand's cornflower blue is going to look entirely different than another brand's cornflower blue. Like, I've seen one company's cornflower look so dark, deep blue that it was almost gray. And then I saw another one where it's real bright blue that looks more like a sky blue than their sky blue. So, you know, I'm just kind of giving you an idea of the colors I'm using when I'm mentioning them on stream, but when I put the material list up on the YouTube channel, it's just, this is the type of fiber I'm using. If you'd rather use roving, then go with roving. But it's gonna be, you know, what you have access to, really. I mean, what colors you want to use. There's really no right and wrong for the color shades. And we're not really doing a tutorial. I'm just kind of stabbing this in here and hey, look, we made a thing. So I don't feel like I quite have enough knowledge base to be doing a tutorial, but I can definitely show you how I did this thing. For sure. Okay. Alright, so I want to get a little bit more of this worked into here. So I can't tell if that's like a thin spot or if it's just like a stabby hole that'll work its way out. So I'm trying to make sure we're in frame. And trying to keep my head out of the shot as well. As much as we can. All right. See, these two pieces were a little stringy. They didn't get brushed out as well as they could have. But I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. For us here. We're not supposed to get any rain today, so we might get the full stream in. Potentially. Okay. I'm feeling a lot more confident with this one than I am our hot mess of a flamingo painting. I might have to adjust the color on that one's neck again. I'm trying not to. Trying to wait and see how it looks as we get the rest of it in. Because it's definitely in the what the fudge is this stage. And you don't have to shape your yarn like this, or fiber, whichever you're using. I'm using the acrylic yarn. Can't remember if I actually stated that earlier. I might have gotten distracted. I didn't actually finish what I was saying. You don't have to shape it. You can just like lay a bit down. But I like to do the shapey shoes on there. Because why not? Why not? I need a little bit more right in here, but we're getting there. Like I've almost got that filled in to where I think I'm happy with it. I will say the water helps with this yarn, the Simply Chunky, because it's a little slippery. Or at least this particular shade is extra slippery. So let's flip this guy right side up. And let's take a step back and just kind of look at him there for a minute and try to figure out where else I want some stuff. So we've got some bits up in this area. Okay. Again, it doesn't have to be the same as your reference or inspiration photo, and it shouldn't be exactly the same. So I'm going to omit a couple of the sailboats in the background. I didn't even realize they were there on the first one, to be perfectly honest. But I don't know that I'm gonna get much out of adding those back in. Okay. Alright, so I'm just gonna do another little poofy guy, like up in here. get that guy worked into there. Alright, that's not so bad. Okay, now I've got a little bit here. This piece is a little unruly. Just a bit. Does not really want to cooperate here. So I'm trying to see where my mountains are supposed to sit. I might make them slightly shorter. Possibly. Forgot I wanted to hold off on this until I got the yellow in. Oh well. It's coming in now. It's okay. It's fine. We got this guy. Coming into here. Okay. Alright, so for right now, I'm going to tuck you back into your fluff container. Alright, so I need to get a yellow. That's another thing I don't have very many shades of is yellow. Surprisingly enough. E into desk, not fun. Alright, so let's see here. So there's a mountain ridge. So this color was Varsity Gold from Big Twist. Not that that matters now. I haven't tried loops and threads yet. They're probably gonna be who I go to as I run out of Big Twist. And I might move on to them as I'm running out of paint box too. It kind of depends on if they have a comparable shade. Really? Now, when I was first planning out the colors I wanted to use on this, I had several different shades that I haven't ended up using yet. It's been kind of evolving as I've been going. I get kind of indecisive at times. And since I don't have a work bucket going at the moment, which is a container that I was throwing colors in for each project, so that way I didn't get too indecisive. Like, no, these are your choices. You've already picked them. This is what you're going with. I've been rehanging them before I've finished a project. Back where I've been, like, I have a little clothesline system set up that I have my bags of fluff clipped to. So I've been rehanging them every week, and then by the time we roll back around, I'm like, shoot, what color was I saying I was gonna use? Dang it. I mean, the back's not too bad either. Not as great as the front, but got a very wobbly, distorted scene going on back there. Okay. So I have this yellow anywhere else? Or is it it's kind of just, well, there's a little bit over near where our sun's gonna be, I suppose. What are you? Where did you come from? That might have been from a yarn brush not being completely cleaned out in between colors. Okay, so I'm just kind of thickening up this is. Oh yeah, that was totally fluff from a previous color that I had brushed out because it looks green. I usually try to run like a paintbrush handle or my scissors or something through the brush to try to clean it in between colors. Or like a skewer or something, toothpick, something like that, something that'll fit between the teeth. Just to try to pull up any fluff that might be stuck in there in between different shades. So I don't get that color contamination happening. That varsity gold looked pretty yellow. It looked pretty Indian yellow. Until we started adding in this yellow. And now that this yellow's in there, it looks more orange, doesn't it? Alright. So. Could be kind of around in here. So is that like just under that? Don't know how visible that will be. Not very, not very. I'll have to thicken that up a little bit more. Just a bit. Okay. I can kind of see it. Why does that look so dark there? That's weird. What is that? Is that just like a thin spot? I don't know what the deal is with that. Oh, in that case, let's just kind of see about filling that in there. I have no clue. What the heck was happening there? Well, now that I've got that filled in, kind of looks like we need a little bit more of our buttercup. I did forget to say what this was. This is buttercup from Paint Box, Simply Chunkified. Simply Chunky, excuse me. Not super Simply Chunky. It's just they're Simply Chunky. They've got a couple different iterations over there. You don't have to get Simply Chunky or Super Simply Chunky. It's just, for my money, I was like, the strand is thicker. Maybe I'll get more fluff off. Is where my mindset, but I don't know if that was true or not. I don't know if that actually worked out that way, but okay. Pop that guy up. Alright, so we've got a little bit there, got some there. I have a little bit. Oh gosh. Gonna put a little bit in there. I need to come back in with the pale lilac as soon as I get my sun kind of positioned, but I'm not sure where exactly I am putting that just yet. So this might change yet. And I'm actually going to, do I want to do that? Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna take this kind of in between here, or I'm gonna try to. Just a little bit. Oh. So, that's not too bad. I'm gonna close that just for right now so I don't get fluff everywhere. Alright, so I kind of need to figure out what we're going to do with this sun here. And I'm not entirely certain. I think maybe we'll go with coral. Hey! Moobots kicking ass and taking names. That fuzz all stuck to me. Okay, give me 1 second to deal with that. I mean, thanks for giving me a view, I guess, but huh. Account created in 2016. Interesting. So are these accounts that are so old, are the accounts that got hacked, I guess?
Probably.
Or that were just dormant? What was that?
That was me catching my earphones with my hand, yanking the plug.
Whew. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know what color to do for this part. Is this too light? Do I need to go bolder? You know what? Let's put in the mountain before I make a decision on that, because I might end up going with a really bold orange. Okay, we need... Alright, so I had said dark aubergine. I think I said maybe jam and dark aubergine, but now... But now I'm kind of leaning towards dark aubergine and maybe dark denim. It might be not enough contrast, though. Maybe I should just go with the original colors I was thinking. Since I changed the cloud color to purples instead of blues, I should probably keep the mountains both purple. Alright, so we'll go, I guess, jam. I've got so many fluff bags to refill. Okay, so we'll go jam and dark aubergine. Again, water optional. It just kind of helps me get my shapies in here. I have a little tiny hair that's like refusing to cooperate. It keeps curling back in my vision. Okay, so the back mountains kind of sit a little differently than the front mountains. Alright, I'm gonna turn this guy sideways. So I want like the top. Alright, so I'm gonna have to layer these guys, right? So that's the base. Alright, so where do I want you to peak here? Now I can make these a little bit taller than my line here. Like, it's not the end of the world. If it's not completely spot on. Alright, so this guy's gonna like come down this way. Or at least that's what we're trying to do. How far down? Um, I usually do this with a slightly thinner bit here to make this a little bit easier to see. We can't pull it too tight or else you're gonna have trouble getting that stabbed in. You need to be able to grab the fibers. That's probably good enough, right? Doesn't have to be exactly the same anyway. Okay, just gonna brush the back down a bit. Alright, so this guy's gonna kind of like nosedive down. Just a tiny drop of water just to give him enough friction on my hand here to try to get this guy to cooperate. Now, if you make your little bit of fluff here too thin, like too skinny, it might like just kind of melt into the piece to where you can't see it at all. So do keep that in mind. So this guy's kind of like a roundy peak. It's not like a very sharp, harsh one. How steep are we? We're a little steep. Now I'm gonna take this down to the base there, just to make it easier on myself for when the other one that's going to sit in front of these comes in. That's probably actually over too far. Probably needed to shorten that a little bit, but it's alright. Not a huge deal. So this, oh, maybe it is a big deal. See, this is why I usually sketch everything out, because I get carried away with my proportions. It's fine. Okay, so yeah, that should have been much smaller. That's alright. Not a huge deal. Well, we said we didn't want it exactly like the reference. It's not gonna be now. That's okay. Uh-oh. I think I have to take a dog out. Yeah, I probably do. Just a minute, buddy. Okay? Give me just a minute. Because you're probably gonna decide that you want to sit out there for a minute. This guy. Kind of come into here. And then this guy can kind of go up into there. Just a minute, Zuzu. I'm coming. Just wanted to get this tacked in. So yeah, not exactly the same shape. The idea is there. I'll probably move the sun peaky to here. The sun peeking through. Alright guys, give me 1 second. I gotta get the dog out to pee. We have an ad break coming in a minute anyhow, so I'll be back as soon as I can be. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Peppers had to pee. Peppers had to pee. No, I need to get resituated here. Alright. So how's everybody doing today? You guys doing alright? I hope so. How is your Tuesday going? It is hot. We're not under a heat advisory today, but it's hot. I think I might have to put this fan on, because especially after stepping outside. I don't think it'll cause too much blowy noise on the microphone. If it does, by all means let me know, and I'll just turn it off and suffer. Suffer in the heat of this room. How hot out is it currently? Yesterday was gross. We didn't get up as high as they thought we were gonna. So we were in the 90s with feels like of, I think, 104 at one point. Maybe it was 103. They were forecasting a feels like of 106, but we never quite got that high. It's currently 91 with a feels like of 102. Kind of surprised they didn't put us under under an advisory today, but they chose not to. Alright, so I'm gonna work on filling in our mountain shapes here. This might take a minute. A minute. Not a literal minute. So we're going to try to fill in our outline here. You okay?
Yeah, it was just P-Butt being P-Butt.
Okay. We don't have the kitten running free yet. They cut out of the other bedroom on us earlier. I thought I had him distracted and went to step out and didn't realize he was right behind me. I'm surprised I didn't shut the door on him. Next thing I know, there was a little black ball of fluff running between my legs. I was like, what the hell? It's a kitten! No! There's still sneezing snot everywhere. And husband's like, we're probably gonna have to let him run free sooner than we thought, because he's going stir crazy in the other room, even though he's got a bunch of toys in there. My mom is not very fast, and I don't know if he would run for the front door to get in and out when she goes out to smoke. So that's like where my biggest concern is at the moment. And our front porch isn't screened in, so he can be out in the wilds, and it's not our cat. We are fostering him, so he doesn't technically belong to us. If anybody's interested in a black kitten with some brown to his fur coloring and you're in the Northwest Arkansas area, let me know. He's about 6 weeks old now. Oh my god, have we... Yeah, we've had him a week. Feels like it's been longer than that. So, the day after we said we would foster him, our local shelter was like, "Oh, we had somebody say that they wanted the kitten. Can you bring them by? Can you bring them back down to our house, which is not that far from where we live? Like in the afternoon, because they're gonna come and get the kitten." And we're like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." And an hour later, they texted us back and they're like, they changed their mind. And I'm like, how do you change your mind that fast? Like, right? I was like, how? How did that happen? Because the people that kind of oversee the shelter use their large house as sort of an overflow, at least for the cats that are too small to be in the pound itself. Because our local shelter is not very large at all. They are a no-kill shelter as well. Now, this little guy did get grazed by a car, but they couldn't really find anything wrong aside from maybe some road rash. And he had some ear mites. And we believe the ear mites are gone now, as we haven't seen any evidence of those since they got medicine for that, and they were on some antibiotics. I guess just to make sure that none of the road rashy scabs got infected or anything. And he's all done with those too. Come at it at an angle, you can kind of get it to move around a little bit if it's not exactly where you wanted it to be. Again, just a tiny drop. So I can try to shape this to get this in here. Tell ya, I am glad that I got that tissue paper project completed, because that was since January. Like 2 to 3 days a week, most weeks. Unless I was particularly not feeling well or we were particularly busy. Or life was just lifing. But I'm so glad that's done now. I didn't stream it because of how large of a piece it was. And the room that I started out working on it in, I would have been on Wi-Fi trying to stream it, which I didn't really trust it to not be dropping connection all the time. And the computer in that room Excuse me. That one snuck up on me. I said, bad allergy day. The computer in that room that I was recording it with is not in the greatest condition. Takes forever to turn on as it is. So, I didn't really know if it could handle streaming it also. So, I tried to keep the recording sections of video cut up. So some sections, some video clips are like a half an hour, some are an hour, some are 2 hours. So I was looking at how many videos I had last night for it. And it was 180. And I was like, oh, damn. And I couldn't figure out why DaVinci was being so slow loading it in. And I'm like, the needle felted ones were never this bad, right? Well, then I realized, oh, but those we streamed and I downloaded them from the YouTube channel to do the speed felts on them. Those were a lot smaller of a file than how it recorded it as. And I was like, oh, that's what it is. So I'm gonna have to do this in sections. So I'm probably gonna have a lot of rendered parts to this that I end up putting all together in one video. So I think I've gone through about 3 hours worth of video so far, between two recording clips. One was an hour and one was 2 hours. And I've got that cut down to 5 minutes. Between cutting out what I didn't want in there and then speeding up the timing on what I did keep. So I was originally going to just start out with the with me putting the tissue paper on it, you know, go from there. But then I was like, I did record the whole process, so perhaps we should include all of that. So I've got the sketch going on to the big canvas, and I think my small sketch, my small test piece where I was trying to work out colors and placement and everything from my sketchbook makes a brief appearance in there, I think. And then I recorded doing the underpainting on it. And I know it might sound silly to do an underpainting on it when it's just gonna get covered up with tissue paper, right? But, sorry, my brain's trying to do two things at once here. I did that, so I had a color key, so I didn't get carried away with where colors were going. So I could keep my place. And B, in case I had any gaps that showed up after the fact, at least it wouldn't be like white canvas peeking through to make it more obvious. I did try to pack the paper in there as tight as I could. So when you zoom in on it, you can see all the lines of tissue paper in there. And I did put it in 9.5's brain spat in 1,000 today. 9.5's Discord show and tell And when she zoomed in on it, you could see that. Um, I caught the tail end, like I had to go back later because I was in the middle of doing something, so I missed show and tell live. But yeah, she was wondering if I had seen somebody else doing the tissue paper art and then started doing it. No, I started doing that on my own. Um, it kind of blossomed from we did a school project at one point where we took tissue paper in like small squares and we wrapped it around the end of like a pencil or like a crown or something small and round, and we would dip it in glue and then we would attach the glue to paper and you'd have like all the points sticking up. And then I've seen some people use bleeding tissue paper where you kind of like wet the surface of watercolor paper and then put that down, or you put that down and then wet the tissue paper and like the dye kind of bleeds out onto the surface, and I didn't want to do that. Besides that, bleeding tissue paper is expensive for the amount that I was gonna need. So I was like, yeah, well, I'm gonna do that. I'll just do watercolor, to be perfectly honest. But I was like, what if I twist the paper and kind of put it down kind of like somewhere between a latch hook and paper quilling, but not. And that's how that just kind of came about. I started experimenting with that a few years ago. And I tried using Elmer's glue for a while because my budget was real tight. And it's usable, but you have to have patience with it. To the point where you kind of either have to put it on very thin and wait like maybe 4 or 5 minutes till it starts to get a skin on it and then put the paper in. Or you have to like hold it in place for an extra few minutes to till it starts to grab it. I ended up finding out through trial and error that tacky glue, Elaine's tacky glue specifically, not sponsored, works about the best for that. Because you don't have to use much. You have to use an amount, you have to use a little bit. Like I wouldn't like barely put any on there. You need a little. And it holds it pretty quickly. So you're not like stuck sitting there holding it in place. Like you can usually push it in and kind of slide it into position and it'll usually stay there. Now, if you're doing shapes with the paper, those you're gonna have to hold for a minute. Like, if you're doing like little like snail shell, little flower bud type shapes where you're curling the paper up on itself, like a snake coiling up, or like the circular snail shells. I don't know how else to describe it. That you're gonna have to hold it in a position for a minute till it wants to stay put, just so the paper doesn't uncurl on you. I did not do any of that shape in that piece. I was originally thinking about it for the clouds just to change up the texture, but then I changed my mind and I didn't end up doing that. Because I could have, but at that scale, section didn't get very well brushed, did it? At that scale, it was gonna be a lot more involved to try to get that right. And there probably would have been gaps that formed a bit more readily. And then I wasn't sure where I wanted to put those textures in. And my indecisiveness kind of took over. And then I was like, screw it, we're just going to do the straight pieces. This is going to be enough work on its own without making it more complicated than it necessarily had to be. I made one of those in the past, and somebody's like, oh, is that yarn? And I'm like, no, that's tissue paper. I'd have to have quite a larger craft budget if I wanted to do that in yarn. It probably would have went a lot faster if I had done it in yarn, to be perfectly honest. Because what you guys don't see is that, in that recording, is that every night of the week, I was sitting here doing video editing with, on one of the speed felts that I owed you guys. With my right hand was using my mouse to edit the video, and my left hand was twisting tissue paper into the little paper snakes. Like every night I was doing prep for that project. Even if I wasn't actively gluing stuff down, I was trying to get paper prepped and ready to go for the next couple of days that I would be working on it. So that was a lot. Plus it took me about a week to get the tissue paper cut. I cut all of the paper that I ordered, even if it was a shade I didn't end up using, because I wasn't sure what I was going to be using for it 100%. Because some of the colors looked a little different when I got them in front of me. As opposed to how they looked when I saw them online. And for some reason, my orange tissue paper, somebody spilled either like a Glade plug-in or perfume or something on the packaging or whatever, and it reached to high heaven when I was trying to cut it and use it, and I'm scent sensitive to perfume. So that wasn't a good time because it was very strong, and you could kind of see where the one section of orange paper when I was cutting it looked wet. At first I thought I was going crazy because I kept smelling this like perfume smell. I'm like, where is it coming from? And then I finally figured out it was coming from the paper, and you could see like a stain on the paper very, very lightly. It wasn't terribly noticeable, but every shade of orange reached like that. So that was kind of angering. But, you know, what could I do? I couldn't really return it at that point. So I just kind of sucked it up. You can't smell it on the piece now. I don't know if it just had enough time to air out or what, but I don't smell it coming off of the finished product, so that's all that really matters there. I don't know why I'm trying to get the bottom of that filled in quite so hard, because we've got another mountain that's going to go on top of it. But that's my brain for you. So this week, we're gonna flip the desk around. So that involves taking everything off my desk, moving around everything that's in my little art corner so we can flip this. Because I push against the desk to push my chair out so I can get up, and I keep pushing it in the path of our door to get out of here. And it's getting to the point where the door won't open all the way because the desk is too far over. So we're gonna flip the desk so that way when I'm pushing against it to get up, it's just gonna hit the wall. It won't go any further. It does mean I'm gonna have to move the camera. Hopefully Elgato doesn't lose its mind about it. I'm nervous after all the work we did to get it to work the first time. But I think it might have been a card issue at this point now. The second time that it got pissy. Because we switched cards and it's been behaving since. So, fingers crossed. Part of me also almost wants to order a second card to keep it in case this one craps out. But that might just be me being a little bit much. We'll just have to, if this card craps out, we'll just have to do gaming until we can get a replacement one, I guess. But this one seems to be doing okay. So I didn't have enough USB ports on my computer to plug the camera into, so we had to get an extra USB card thingy to shove it in the back there. Let's see, let's move the thingy over a little bit. Alright. So start filling in this section. And I tend to work in smaller chunks. I don't know if that makes things take longer or not, but I feel better working in the smaller bits. Besides, it gives me a chance to rest my arm in between. Gives the arm a chance to rest and stretch while I'm pulling out the next bit of fluffy stuff. Alright. We're starting to definitely make some noticeable progress on this guy, though. So that's good. So Saturday, we might be trying farmer's market. It kind of has to see how things are going. I still have to pull the stuff down off of eBay. And I have to unbox everything because we had boxed up most of it because I was trying to get weights on stuff for the eBay store. And we tend to really only do one farmer's market in the farmer's market season here. That's usually all the inventory I have, so it's gonna kind of depend on how much stuff gets rehomed. Let go! That fluff is just gonna be loose in the air now. Okay. So I don't sell when we go to the farmer's market. It's very odd. People will, like, clamor for my stuff when it's free, because it's free. And I'll make tips, but if I try to sell it, like, nobody buys it. I don't understand.
Okay. To be fair, we haven't tried to sell it there yet.
That's true.
It's just that I'm pretty sure you made more in tips than you would by your asking price.
Yeah, probably would.
Just because between the target audience and what you were giving
yeah.
away. Yeah.
Like, I could try to get store space in one of the, like, flea market junk stores and antique stores that they call them around here. But there was only one space that I was willing to take the risk on, like price-wise, that I had seen come available. But it was such a bad space. So, like, the aisles were here, right? They went, like, up and down. And then there was a back wall of like pegboards with stuff hung up on it. But then on the end of those aisles going this way, facing that long aisle, that was where one of the spaces had come available. And you would not know that the stuff was there unless you physically walked around the corner and saw it. Like, you wouldn't see it just like glancing down the aisle. Like, it wasn't even on like the back wall where you could see looking down. It was basically hidden. And I'm like, I don't know if that's worth it. I mean, granted, it was like 20 bucks a month, but then you had to pay a fee. Um, to the 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 location owners because they were the ones like running the register and stuff. So like a percentage of your sale or whatever. Um we almost did it, but I was really hesitant because of the location of it in the store. I was like, I don't know. Other people's booth space rentals were a lot more. And of course you had to bring in your own fixtures and stuff. And I was like, I don't know that I even have enough stuff to fill this space. And I don't know if I'm gonna make back the money on the booth rent either. So it was kind of like a weird, I don't know what to do. But yeah, if I had been selling them, I don't think hardly anything would have sold. I've got a thin spot here that just keeps being super, super stubborn. Right here and right here. Now, one of those might get filled in with the other color, but I'm not certain. But, yeah, so I need to pull down the listings off the eBay store, so if y'all wanted something, you might want to go get it now. And I'll be posting more stuff up over the winter. More than likely. If it doesn't sell, it'll go back to farmer's market. Alright, that's not bad there. Right here needs a little bit more though. And some lady wanted to commission me to paint her house. Like, not her physical house, but to make a painting of her house. I don't normally do architecture though. So I was a little hesitant, and I was like, well, if you can get me a picture of it, I can tell you more certainty if I think I can do it. And I gave her my email, and then I never heard anything back from her, so maybe she found somebody else, which is fine. But I was being very hesitant because it's like, I don't normally do houses. I mean, I'm willing to try. And maybe we can do it at a discount since, I'm not sure, but I'm not going to say yes straight off the bat without seeing what this house looks like. Like, I need more information. Like, I need to know what you're looking for. Are you, like, looking for highly detailed? Are you looking for, you know, something that looks similar? Like, how exact of a copy of this house are you looking for? And I don't think she really knew. I'm like, She didn't say if she wanted it in oils or in acrylics or gouache or... Because I think she saw some of the Bob Ross stuff that I did. And she's like, oh, yeah. No, I don't have a tutorial to how to paint your house, but, my proportions are never super great, so... If you're okay with that, I'm just gonna be up front. Like, half the stuff I do is crooked. But, I was willing to try. Or at least look at the photo of it. I don't really have set commission prices because nobody's really commissioned me for anything. I had one commission that I did years ago for somebody from Source the Goblins Discord. And that I probably way underpriced for something that was kind of last minute. So we'll get this guy. Works into here. Did he eat?
Yeah, he did eat it.
Okay. I'll tell you, I'm kind of surprised we didn't get that heat advisory. Maybe it's not as humid? I don't know. But we have officially entered our oven baking part of summer. It actually started a little later this year. I'm kind of surprised. There's been some Decembers that we've had the air conditioning running. It's been warm and it gets really warm in the house, but it wasn't quite, feels like triple digit warm until the past few days. Maybe 1 or 2 days last week. Maybe. So filling in the larger chunks of color does take a little bit of time. Just trying to keep my mountain shape from getting a little too out of control there. All right, remember, you want to pop that up off of your mat every so often. More often than not. Or else you could damage your mat trying to pull it off if it gets a little too stuck in there. How do I want to do this here? I'm not sure if I'm gonna speed felt this project. Like, cut down the streams into a speed felt. I'm gonna be very occupied with the tissue paper project editing for quite a while. Like, it literally might take me months, to get that edited. I will try to get it done faster, but it is video editing, and it is my brain that gets mad at video editing. And I mean, the first two videos of me just doing the sketch and the underpainting took quite a bit. In 3 hours of video, I have like 300 and some cuts to it, so like 300 some clips that got cut down. So we will see how things go speed-wise once I get into editing the tissue paper portion of it. Because a lot of chunks of those videos, I forgot to hit pause and walked away. And then there's a couple sections where I thought I hit record and did a little bit of work and looked up and realized I wasn't recording, and I was like, oh. So, or forgot to unpause, and I was like, damn it, I thought I did that. So then it got to the point where I was just letting it record, so I didn't forget to hit the thing. I think I went through, let's see, the one bottle of tacky glue was open when I started using it, so it wasn't a full bottle. Let's say half a bottle. So one full bottle, the 2/3 to half a bottle of another one, and then maybe 1/3 to half of a third bottle. So maybe 2 full bottles. Would that be 3? 1. Approximately 2 full bottles of tacky glue and a little bit more. So I probably could have got that down to just 2 full bottles. Sometimes I put out more glue and then ended up stopping while I still had glue available that didn't get used, so. That happens sometimes. And I had to keep telling myself it was okay that I had a bunch more tacky glue. And I was using toothpicks as my little helper stick to try to push the tissue paper into place so I didn't get as much glue on my fingers. And I still got glue on my fingers that I was constantly rubbing off. So I don't know if me constantly like going like this is gonna show up in the video. It kind of depends on how much I can cut that out. But there is a chance that that makes it in spots, especially if I mess up on an edit and speed something up that was supposed to be a cut. Whoop. That section grabbed a hole. Okay, let's go ahead and turn that. Okay. So I want to fill in that thin spot. And I'm being fussy about the thin spots through the entirety of the mountain shapes. Hold on one second. Alright. So that spot's still being a little stubborn right in there. Oh, right. I was trying to say I'm being a little extra fussy about it because I don't know where everything is going to set up for the next mountain. But I don't want any thin spots to dictate where I need to be. So it's just easier to be fussy about it now than to try to deal with a potential mess later. But we're making progress. Slowly, but we're making progress. And I know I'm sideways right now, but it makes it easier for me to see what I'm doing. So anybody new here, these are finger protectors. It's to lessen any potential injury if I accidentally stab myself. You can still stab through them. It is possible. At least with the small needle, it is very possible. I've done it. But it wasn't any major injury. It was just kind of like sticking yourself with a needle when you're sewing. It wasn't too bad. It probably would have been worse if I hadn't had these on. And I'm a klutz, so hand-eye coordination isn't the greatest. It never has been, so they I remember having to use that I guess now would be considered a vintage toy when I was in child study team classes in school. The cup and the ball, a little wooden cup that was attached to a ball with a string. I had to try to keep catching the stupid ball in the cup because it would improve my hand-eye coordination. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I could be learning how to, you know, do English, but okay. Sure. This is fine, I guess. I'm like, why don't we do this during gym instead? I'm okay doing this during gym. That's fine. I mean, I don't really need gym class. This would be better than gym class. I kind of need the grammar part of English class though. That would be super great and helpful. Thanks. To this day, I'm still confused about where commas go sometimes. Do they still do the hooked on phonics workbooks in school? That was like a big thing. I don't know if it really helped me at all because turns out I'm dyslexic, so some of my typing errors are because I'm talking to somebody on Discord that has gotten used to how I type stuff. And if I'm being particularly lazy, I just don't go back and correct it. Some things I don't realize is a typo, but other things I constantly flip the letters around, and at this point I'm like, that's just how that's spelled now. This isn't a professional discussion, so it's okay. Like, what's my level of give a damn about this word right now? Most of the time, the ends up as THE. No, that's how it's supposed to be spelled. HET. Is that how I usually spell it? THE is how it's supposed to be. See, I tried to dyslexic and I didn't do it that time. Like, mine isn't the kind where, like, letters fly off the page. Mine is the flavor of rearranging letters or rearranging entire words. I will just move words and sentences to different parts of the sentence. That's just where my brain wants it to go. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's right. So that's why I stumble a lot when we're reading like quest text in a game or something. Because I'm like, I'm either reading ahead of myself. What was that? Thought I heard a noise. Or adding words that aren't there. Can you do me a favor? Can you check on the kitten?
Yeah, sure. Why?
I heard a noise.
A second ago?
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, but I'll go check on it.
It's been a little bit since we've checked in on the kitten. They usually sleep most of the afternoon. So this guy can kind of go in here. So we started calling the kitten Mr. Bean. We have to call him something, and they didn't name him. They weren't even sure it was a him. We believe it's a him now. We think we see his how to word this? I guess his ball sack coming in. Where it wasn't there when they found him. Or when animal control picked him up. Still no idea where he came from and how he ended up where he did. Okay, so we need to add a little bit more in here. So this is our wood that we are going to mount this onto. Okay. So we should be pretty good. We're gonna lose a little bit off the edges, but that's okay. We can decide which edge we're gonna trim more off of when the time comes. Not a big deal. Ooh. We had actually gotten some like cool towels from Lowe's at one point, when he was working at Polytech, because it got so hot he needed something. It's like you like rinse them in water and like shake them out, and they're supposed to like activate and help cool you down. Except when we went to go get more before our trip, last year, they were out of stock because it had been so hot here. And we're like, oh no. So I found some in Walmart, except they were more like in the workout section, and you couldn't really tell their texture in the packaging. And when we pulled them out, they're like rubbery. And they're really weird. And when they dry out, they become stiff like a piece of wood. It's so bizarre. I don't really like using them because of their texture. Their texture kind of skeeves me. But I kind of feel like I don't have a choice because that's what we got. Because our old ones, no matter how much we've washed them, have like picked up a weird smell on them. Just because they're that old at this point. But we haven't been able to replace them yet. I will say we've had a couple of stubborn sections about filling in to try to keep the yellow from fully shining through. Alright, so how are we looking? Not too bad, not too bad. This side here could use a little bit of adjusting, although that spot might get trimmed off, so that might not be as big of a issue as it looks like. Oh wait, no, erasing this back. Put the color back in the right bag, please. Not purposely be contaminating colors here. Okay, so this is the dark aubergine. My hands are sweaty, but they're not quite sweaty enough to not need to grab any water. I'm not sure what color I am going to do the frame yet. I'm just not sure. This one's not going to be a magnet, it's just going to be like a wall hanging guy. Okay, so let me grab my photo here. Okay. So, this guy kind of is a bit shorter than his friend here. Again, doesn't have to be 100% the same as our reference photo. I'm trying to get it close though. Is that difference even showing up? Purple's a little rough on this camera at times. Maybe we should have went with the dark denim. Alright, so we've got that, and then this guy kind of slopes down to there. Just a little bit. And then we're gonna come up a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good in there. Alrighty. I will say the filter that we put on the mic helps with not picking up the husband's every movement and keyboard typing and the traffic outside. But you also don't get to experience the crunch, crunch, crunch of needle felting on the mat here. Just kind of its own little experience. So it looks a little bunchy in here. That's because this section doesn't have any fiber, new fiber on it. It's just its base color there. Now I'm hoping this will be a little bit easier to see once we get the water popped into here. So the water is going to be a bit brighter than this gray. I'm going to use my denim color. The color I was originally going to use in the sky, and I was like, well, this is kind of more for my like go-to watercolor, and I don't know what my go-to watercolor is going to be now. That's going to have to change. Because I was using the Big Twist denim, and I'm going to run out of that eventually. Which means that I'm going to have to find a replacement. That was Ed, if that got picked up at all. we're not like completely straight. We've had some problems, but hopefully when we get the water put in here, we can try to straighten that up a little bit. So originally I was gonna have the water like come up to here. I got a little below that. Even with some guidelines, I get carried away. They just have a way of working out. A little off center, shall we say. It's okay, it's not that bad. I mean, once we get the water popped in there, we can probably straighten that out a bit. Use that to level off the bottom. Okay. So, let's see about getting this. I know I work with it sideways a lot, but it helps me see where I'm at. Alright, so sort of apologize for it being sideways a lot, but sometimes it just needs to be that way. I give you guys glimpses of it the right way when I'm able to. Kitten must have been awake, because he hasn't come back yet. I feel like I still have a spot here where that jam color is still poking through. It might not matter all that much, because there's a chance that section gets kind of trimmed there since it's near the edge, but it's not right on the edge, so it might not get trimmed. So when we finish stabbing everything, I'm going to come back in with our razor and give the back side of this a bit of a haircut, because this section is much thicker than it is up here. Like we're getting very stiff in this section between the yellow and now both shades of purple coming in here. Alright, so it's just a teeny tiny bit here. It felt like it was mocking me. About filling in there. Okay. That looks pretty good there. So let's get our next bit of fluffy stuff. So I do use acrylic yarn. You can use roving. Acrylic yarn fits my budget a bit better. I don't specifically have a brand loyalty. Um, my loyalty is to my budget. So, what's on sale? And where is it at? And how much is shipping going to be? Is kind of where the thought process goes. It's like, okay, is there any acrylic yarn on sale here? What about here? What about there? I'm not really specifically loyal to any one location right now. I didn't mind ordering from Lovecrafts. That was an okay experience. Like, I didn't have any problems. The only problem I had with Lovecraft is every time the paint box yarn went on sale and I went to buy it, the colors that I was still missing from my collection were all sold out. That was my only big issue. Because a couple of those colors were out of stock for what felt like months. And I'm like, are you getting this color back in or is this color gone now? So, like, I kind of need to know. But then their prices went up for a while and I was like, oh, I don't know. So when you do yarn for this, when you buy the yarn, it comes in its spun plied state. So you kind of have a bit of prep involved before you can fluff it, like before you get it back to its fluffy state. I did do a video on how I do that and how I've seen other people do it. It's on the Nisey Needle Felts playlist on the YouTube channel. Same name as here, NiseyBGN. I'm pretty sure all of our needle felting stuff is on one particular spot in all in one playlist. Should be the first video in that playlist. So basically you cut some lengths of yarn. I recommend doing it smaller than bigger. Something that's easy to handle for you. I've seen people brush it out on self-healing cutting mats, and that's great if you have one. I did not have one at the time. I had one, but there was polymer clay residue on it, so I couldn't use it for this. So I tried using cardboard, and it was really scritchy, and bothersome to my ears. So I was like, yeah, no, that ain't gonna work. For me, at least. And, so I just hold it. Sometimes I can rip my thumb up if I don't get the brush positioned right. So you would take your cut lengths of yarn, and I did like 5 to 6 at a time, and held it in my hand and then brushed it out. So you need a sticker brush, usually in the pet grooming section, either at your pet store or whatever store you shop at, grocery store that has pet supplies, you can usually find them in. I do recommend you get the metal teeth, even though they're a little bit more owie, because the plastic ones will break. I have found that out, and it sucks to be trying to pull out plastic broken teeth from your bit of fluff. It's not fun. But they are sharp brushes, so, because like to get the undercoat out of the double-coated dogs. So if you're gonna go the yarn route, I do recommend that. And it's like, I could get a big box of white roving and just try to dye it. I don't have the room, the patience, or the time, to be perfectly honest. Especially not knowing how much I'm gonna need and if I'm gonna get enough for dye lot, you know, making sure it doesn't change shades on me and all that. And I don't really have anywhere for it to dry undisturbed, because our cats are into everything. I don't really have a room where I can let it dry and do its thing. And it's just less trouble for me to just buy the colored yarn already. The color selection was a lot better too. But heck, if you have the time, the patience, the space, and you want to dye your own roving, go for it. I just don't have any of those. I know I don't have any of those, so that's okay. And like dyeing stuff kind of becomes its own art form in a way as well. Let's see, is this starting? Yeah, you can kind of starting to see it show up on the camera a bit better now. So this is gonna kind of be slightly mixed media. I guess, hold on, I feel like I had fuzz in my eyelashes. I felt like the fan was tapping it. And now I'm not finding it. Maybe it was one of my hairs. Okay. So we'll get this worked into here. We're almost done this particular bit of mountain here. So we haven't done too bad today. We actually covered some ground. Can't help but wonder how far we would be if a certain fluffy old man didn't get upset when it started raining last week. We might have been on the water this week. But it's okay. Like I said, I'm not in a huge hurry on this one. We'll get done when we get done. Okay. So like the the um the bottom of the boat, the hull, there we go. That I'm gonna do in fiber. But I have some black embroidery thread. And I'm thinking about trying to stitch in like the sailboat rigging lines. Cables, whatever they are. I don't know my sailboat terminology. Some of them at least. Because they're a little bit thinner, then I think I can get on the fiber and not have it seem ridiculous. Like the mast I'll probably do in fluff. Like that I'm okay with. I don't think we'll have too much trouble there. But like the little lines coming off the mast and stuff, I think I might stitch those in. Just to kind of change things up a little bit. I think we have covered a good amount of ground today. Like we got all of this laid in up here, we got this in, we got these guys. I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at the moment. This is so bunchy here. We'll get it taken care of eventually as we get the water popped in there, but it's gonna bug me until we do. And I've got like fuzz stuck to my face, or at least it feels like I do. There's like little tiny fuzzies all in the air and everything, and the fan being on is kicking them up. Okay. Alright, we're looking pretty good, pretty good. Now, I do have a little bit of our jam color kind of shining through along the very bottom. I don't know that that's really a big deal because I'm gonna have to bring the water level up the edge of the mountain just a little bit. Just to try to even out the bottom of my mountains here. This section that I just popped in there might not even end up being all that visible. So I just need a little piece in here. Get that popped into that space. So the dark on darker, or dark on medium, can sometimes be a little bit tough to see until you start to get your other colors around it popped in. So once we start laying the water in, I think our mountains will start to come alive a little bit more. So you can kind of see the line between the two different shades. As I hold that a little bit closer for you. What is touching me? Something is touching me. It's probably my own hair, which is why it's not going away. No matter how many times I feel like I've moved it. Whoop. So I'm pretty sure that this outside edge is the one I'm going to trim the most off on when we go to resize everything. More than likely. We'll see how things turn out after we get the rest of... Oh, wait. Oh. If I end up stitching in the rigging, that's gotta be very, very last thing I do. Because the razor will slice right through that, so I'm going to have to razor it and then do the stitching. I'm glad I thought about that now. I would have been very, very mad at myself for not realizing that ahead of time. I had already put the stitching in. Yeah, so we're not doing too bad there. It looks similar. Sort of. Not quite the same, but my mountains are a little bit wider than I had planned on them being, so I'm gonna have to, like, just make some small adjustments there. That's alright, it happens, right? Okay. Now, I have to figure out where we're gonna do our sun color here. So I'm gonna take the coral color. Not a bad color. Bless you. Oh my goodness, Ed. Ed, did you get the kitten sick or did the kitten get you sick? Kitten was running around before we realized they may have had an upper respiratory issue. Okay. So, I don't know if this is gonna quite do what I'm looking for here. So that's not very punchy bright. So I think that's right here. I think this is the color that I'm gonna want to bring into here. And maybe down into there. But not doing it for me up in here. So let me see. Do we want to go back to the dark coral? I think we're going to have to go with one of our oranges. So we just have to figure out what orange that needs to be. Um, so it's probably going to be like, I didn't even realize I had that color. It was squished in there. When we move everything around, the location of the fluff wall is going to move slightly, so I'll be able to spread everybody out a little bit better. I don't know, is that going to be punchy enough? That might not be. Might not be it. Like, it doesn't look too bad when it's up on top of itself. But sometimes too many colors isn't helpful. Are you gonna let go? Let's go with blood orange. I mean it this time. Okay. Who is this? This is... It's paint box. It doesn't have the Simply Chunky designation on it, but that's the only one I bought from them. So it kind of like has to be. Just have to try to get that lined up in there. As carefully as I can. Hitting okay?
Yeah.
Were they awake? Were they awake?
They were kind of awake. You had some couple times. A little bit of attack time.
So was that another spam phone call?
Yep.
They're
Huh?
they're trying to reach a quota or something.
Yeah, probably.
They're going crazy today. Okay. If this fuzz could like get off my face, that would be great. Like, I can feel it touching me, but I don't know where it's at. I know it sounds ridiculous. Okay. Oh, we've got a lot of fluff right in there. Let me grab our white. Like, it's not really white. Maybe it was supposed to be yellow in there and with a white center. I don't know. This is what we're doing. We're gonna try to get this popped into there. So it's probably not gonna be like super close, but it does look very white in that spot. Or just like a white yellow that I don't have. So we're gonna have to improvise. Mm, look at that. Kind of put in there. Now this might be a little too much. Don't need it getting too carried away. I have to keep it in check to a degree. Like, I'm not fully happy with that, but that's like gonna have to do. So do I want the deep orange or do I want... I think I want... I think I do want that coral color. So many bags of fluff everywhere right now. This bag has seen some action. It needs to get swapped out for a slightly sturdier one. My Kindle froze up there. Come on. There we go. Alright. So I just need some small bits of this. Oh, that white didn't make it back into its bag. That is like the same color of my mat, so let's not do that. Okay. So let's get a little bit of this kind of worked into there. want it a little broken up in there. But only like a teeny tiny bit. Okay. Let's see if we can kind of work that in a little bit. A very odd song that is in my headphones. You guys can't hear it. I never pictured a song between these two artists ever. Never even heard of the one artist. It's very odd. And I just don't think it works. But that's just my opinion. Okay. So, we've got that into there. I want to grab a little bit more of our dusty lilac here. And I want to, that's probably too much. All right. Maybe I can kind of fold it up on itself, because I kind of want it to be covering a little bit of that. This part of our sun is slightly obscured. It's not the darker one, it's a bit of the lighter purple in there. Okay. All right. Let's put a little bit more. In here. I feel like this needs to be a little bit thicker. Just a bit. I don't want to vanish all of our dark coral that we worked so hard to get in there. Okay. Whoop. There's bags over here. Alrighty. Okay, so let's see. Let's evaluate here. How are we feeling about this? Alright, I think I want our dark coral back. I want a little bit more of that over in here. Not a lot. Just a little bit. I don't think we're really going to need that much. Ooh, it is getting toasty in here. Alright, so this guy. Pop into here. Because I feel like we need it. This is very yellow over here. I just want a little bit. So just break up quite so much of the yellow. This one's got a couple little like wispy things happening here and there. Off to this side. Like this side hasn't gotten a whole lot of love from us. Alright, so I'm doing this very lightly. Like I don't want it to be real tight. Because I kind of want it to be a little bit see-through. It might not be that way by the time we get done. Because all the little fibers are going to pull in, but we can try. Right, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Alright. Let's see. 217. Alright, it is blazing hot in here. And I think we've reached a good stopping point for today, especially with how hot it is. So, next week, I think we will start to work on our water section down in here. But I'm pretty happy with how far we've made it today. We're looking pretty good. So thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon. I do appreciate it. Tomorrow we will be back, and we will be in Planet Zoo tomorrow. Finishing up the odds and ends that we need to do to the butterfly garden, making our B is for Butterflies sign for the children's zoo. And if we have time, we will start the bat area. I don't know that we will, but if we do, we will start in on that. So thank you guys. I do greatly appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Tuesday. Stay cool if you are in a very hot area. And until next time, everybody.